Movie
Hell, I did.
podcast.
Yeah, look, I didn't even to give context. I didn't even really stream any games this week. If anyone like, if you were to check my stuff though, I did like a couple of like chill streams. I Now, granted, this week I'm getting back on the grind. I'm gonna start Hi-Fi Rush this week and give that a shot.
I
Uh,
haven't I played Tears of the Kingdom a couple within the last 2 weeks a little bit, but I haven't touched a video game since the last podcast 2 weeks ago. So
damn.
I've been I just was like so this is gonna sound like really cheesy probably. I was so content after Tears of the Kingdom. It satisfied my gaming needs pretty much for I mean until Mario Wonder comes out, I think. Like I have no at this point right now I have no intentions of buying another game till Mario Wonder.
So
And
another what 2 months? Because Warren Wonder comes out in October, right? Or am I wrong?
what?
Yeah, Wonder is October, and I think no.
It's probably about 3 months.
Yeah, because no, RPG, Super Mario RPG
Oh
is
wait, maybe it's
October.
September.
Is it? I thought it was October. Am I tripping? Hold on.
One of them's the other. One of them's one of
Oh,
those. And the crazy thing is, it's like, is it because Sony?
no, it's October. It's October
Okay.
20th.
Is it because Sony didn't have anything to deliver that it's like it kind of diminished my gaming year? I don't know.
The only thing you got is
I could
Spider-Man, and
give
then
two shits about Spider
and then
Man.
they announced that I don't know if you saw it, they announced that Spider-Man PS5. We pretty much gotten into the rumor mill. That's where we're at currently. I saw rumors for new Nintendo Switches.
Oh yeah, and the
Like,
PS5 Pro in 2024 or
yeah,
something. Like, come on.
yeah.
Even if it's
Now,
true, like, or even if it turns out to be true, like that's way too far to be. What can you even say? Like,
yeah, there's not a lot to really say about that as
then
much
the
as
Switch thing, I haven't seen any in the last week, but I feel like 2 weeks ago it kind of hit.
yeah, 2 weeks ago is when I was seeing a lot of it.
What's
I was
up,
seeing a
Lenny? What's
lot
up,
of Switch
Jay?
stuff. What's
Um,
up
what was it saying? I forget.
for the Switch?
Switch 2024 or
So
something.
yeah, but there okay, so there was two of them. There was one that had that mock-up where it literally looked like a Switch with a I guess a higher quality
I didn't see
screen
that.
and has the fucking like instead of having Joy-Cons, it's little slots that slide the Joy-Cons up and down depending on how you want to play the game.
Hmm.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh, this looks fake as fuck."
Yeah.
Um, Hold on. I'll I'm gonna quickly find the picture everyone was
I
talking about.
seen not to change the subject, but I seen somebody modded their Switch to run PC games. I don't think it was off Windows. I don't know if it was Linux or something. And they're getting like 5 frames per second with God of War, like at times 30 in some games, but down to 5. But it could run them. It didn't crash and stuff. Like I was surprised. Base model Switch, overclocked, obviously.
Oh, that's awesome. Damn it, I found one, but it's not. They have the word fake on front of it, and that's not what I need. I need you to just see. We know it's fake, but I
Is
wanted
it
you to at
look?
least see.
Is it the Stewie head one again or whatever?
No, 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 no. Hold on. It look. Damn it,
Something to that, where it's
these
like
bastards. Just give me a one that doesn't have the damn the fake text right over it. That's what's pissing me off. You know what? I'm gonna do something I
And
don't
then
normally do. I'm gonna
didn't
go.
was it June or May that Switch had his biggest? I think it was June, the biggest June ever for Switch hardware. Was it or just
Yeah, it
software?
was. Yeah, it was.
And it's like
Which
a big game obviously helps. And I've seen people saying, "Well, there you go. They don't need a new system. They're not losing momentum." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that was
I
Zelda.
mean, it's it's
Like
also it's also June. Like I don't if you if it was like that still in December, that'd be a
yeah, if it
different
keep
story to
going, but
me.
it had been they lowered their estimates pretty to like below 15, I think. You're not gonna have a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom like game in the Switch's life again. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not. They're not gonna release another Animal Crossing. You're not gonna get Mario Kart. It's the last big, huge game. What's up, Insane? I don't think there's gonna be a Pokemon that's gonna be like
No,
huge,
I don't think
huge.
we're getting.
I think it's the last
I'm not.
huge game. I mean, you're not gonna get that kind of spike again.
Okay, I
Mario
found
Wonder
the
is gonna be
picture, but I'm about to
great.
do some finagling here.
Mm.
someone had it in a video, so I'm gonna clip the picture in the video and just show it to you. This is me doing too fucking much. Actually, you know what? I can just make this easier for myself. I'm just gonna show
Pause the
it.
video.
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna do. Just look at the screen. That's what the leak that was going around was.
And it has a box art. Come on.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's what
what.
they were going with.
So what is going on in here? That's the grip.
Yeah, you can like the idea is that you're supposed to be able to slide the. It has that gap, so you could shift it to change. I guess to make the hand configuration a little bit better if you didn't care for like the angle the controllers were at, but you can still use them as like sideways controllers.
Why
And
would they have this big ass bottom bezel in a box
that's my
art?
bro.
Why would a box
Absolutely.
art exist already? That I like the idea that you pop these small Joy-Cons into these bigger shells, and then you could have more ergonomic shells and stuff. Not a
Yes,
terrible idea. Whoever came up with that.
yeah, it's not for a leak for like a fake leak. It's not a bad thing. I don't know. I don't really feel. I'm
I
not a
don't
huge
like
fan
how
of the
they
tablet.
slide up and down in there, though. That would be
Yeah, there's
bad.
no like. I like the railing on the Switch we currently have. Like I like having a railing where you can actually like slide it in there easily. This looks like you're just like sticking it to the side of it. Like this is on
And
some.
that tablet design looks terrible.
It looks like it looks like a slightly bigger phone. Like it looks really awkward.
Yeah, that's a terrible looking
And then of
design.
course they got the little UI on there, which for
Yeah,
for what it is,
that's pretty fake
that's
too.
that's a UI, all right.
Yeah.
That's all I could say about it.
And it
I
has
was
what, a
like,
bunch of Switch games on there? Yeah, right.
yeah, they're all Switch games. Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon 3. No, there's nothing new on here. This was the thing that was making its round, I think, last week. It was like it's been only like a week or so.
I mean,
And
it's
people
in the
were like,
box. Just look at the shape on the right side. Why would it be crammed in that small? Why would they have two
absolutely.
boxes, a long box and a little cramped box? It makes no fucking sense. It's just
Yeah.
they put a lot of work
Also,
into it. I'll give them credit.
also looks like I don't know if that's a stylus or what the hell's on top. Like, is that supposed to be the game cartridge thing? Because if
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
see like a flap to cover it. That whole
That's
it's a
just
weird. It's a weird design,
that's an
bro.
ugly design. So
I will say, I the Joy-Con thing is probably the most interesting thing about it.
I would hate if we have another straight up and down buttons centered to the center of the stick directly below and above. Like I would be disappointed with that.
Do you think they're gonna commit to the idea of like still having the Joy-Cons being used as separate controllers, even going into a new system?
I wouldn't be
Like,
shocked, but I hope not, because that's the most limiting factor, in my opinion, of the Joy Cons.
is there is there anything you could do to make it better? Like a way that you could have your cake and eat it too, essentially.
Just have it be like the Split Pad Pro. Just have it be a comfortable ergonomic thing that slides on with the buttons and layout and everything
Nah,
good.
knowing Nintendo, they're not gonna do that because they're fucking.
To me, that's the easy. That's the most obvious.
Oh no, absolutely.
It's like,
But
why wouldn't you?
Nintendo. Well, it's they're artistes. Damn it, they have to. Also, I think the only other news related stuff is the U.S. approved the whole Microsoft deal thing. Uh,
But it
with
got pushed
Activision.
like 3 months, so it's not
Yeah,
final.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, it did. But people in the back are like, "Oh, it's weird. It's weird when Microsoft when this shit got announced and people were like, "Oh, Nintendo's about to get all the games again." I'm like,
Did they?
guys,
Someone said they signed a deal with Sony too for Call of Duty for 10 years. Sony signed that. I don't know if that was
did
real.
they?
That's my PC buddy who, if Linus says something, it's just true. So
Yeah, you don't
he doesn't actually know stuff, but he
listen.
tells
Like
me
I
stuff
like
he hears.
Linus within reason, but I also know Linus isn't as up to date on
And
gaming
he'll
as he
just
likes
say
to pretend
something.
he is.
He'll just say something, and doesn't mean he's saying it happened. Maybe he was talking about the initial one that got offered, and the guys. He's one of those guys that will be texting. You start talking to him, and then he'll just start texting or typing an email, and he stops listening right in the middle of a sentence. So he might have heard Linus say something about that deal, and then didn't hear the part where. So don't correct me if I'm wrong. It's a very unreliable source, but I thought he said that he heard that they had signed the deal with Sony. Or Sony signed the
I
deal, but
I hadn't seen anything,
Like I said, it
but I
could have just
also
been that
wasn't
old
looking too
deal that
hard.
Sony didn't sign. T will probably know.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, T?
He had to
What
get.
up? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
Sound actually crisp.
yeah, you do. My buddy at work who he'll hear something like Linus say, and then he'll falsely report it to me, and he thought he heard that Sony signed the 10-year deal with Call of Duty with Microsoft, but he
they
might.
I
did.
Hmm?
They did.
They did.
They
Okay.
did.
I'll just look for
Yeah.
verification because I can't
that
trust
I
the
knew
source.
they kind of had to realistically like that.
Yeah, but the thing that sucks, at least for Sony fans, is that if they would have signed the deal earlier, it would have guaranteed they got other Activision games.
Yeah.
But they waited and bullshitted and tried to block the deal, and now it's only for Call of Duty. So they got a worse deal had they just signed the damn thing to begin with. instead of trying to
Really?
block it.
So
Yeah.
what does that mean for the other games? They're just not going to come to Sony
So-
platforms.
I mean, Microsoft can still decide, to pick and choose which ones,
But
but
now it's uncertain.
there's no guarantee, right?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean,
Huh.
Call of Duty is obviously the biggest moneymaker, but
Yeah, but
Right.
I think
But
that's the one they need.
There are games in the works that we don't even know about from Activision that are probably just going to be, Microsoft console and Game Pass only because Sony was stupid.
Yeah, that didn't really.
they took a
Well,
they
see,
probably took a
I think-
gamble and it didn't pay off.
It was
So,
a bad
It's
gamble.
like-
FTC had no case.
Well,
It's-
considering how much people buy Call of Duty, that's a gamble I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
risked
I mean, obviously that's where their big money is Call of Duty. That's where they make most of their revenue on. Is
Yeah.
Call of Duty stuff. So for them, that's great. But for your customers, your gamers, they're getting screwed out of other games now. So
I did
Yeah.
was Sekiro an Activision game? I'm trying to think the last Activision game I bought.
No, isn't that
No,
Bandai? Isn't that
that's
Bandai?
Bandai.
You sure?
Yeah.
I think one of them. I feel like one of them was
I can check, but I'm pretty sure it's Bandai.
maybe it wasn't Activision. I'm trying to. I think I bought one since Call of Duty Ghosts, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, because Sekiro's from Software, which currently, and I think
Bandai,
Bandai,
right?
Bandai's the one who
Publisher.
published it.
No,
Yeah,
they did. They did.
yeah,
I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm pretty
'Cause they
sure.
did.
right now,
They've
just-
done a couple games that weren't Bandai. Bandai did. They did
Maybe-
something
let
with
me-
2K as well. I thought.
Make sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Take-Two.
at the end of the day, it matters who the publisher
Oh
is.
no,
Like,
you're right. Activision did publish it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
they published Sekiro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they published Sekiro,
Okay,
and then Japan from Software published it.
Say goodbye to
which is interesting.
Sekiro.
I started it. That was like 2 months ago.
Which is weird. I've heard very divisive things
I mean,
about Sekiro.
it was fine. It didn't suck me in like the other From Software games, but I was just so into Tears of the Kingdom. I just, like I said, I'm like completely satisfied in my gaming. Like I feel no need to like play anything right now. I'm just like I was so content after Tears of the Kingdom. Like I'm good. But yeah, they had to delay the deadline because they couldn't get obviously you can't get the deal signed and all
Well-
that done in like a day.
No, they were waiting on it's CMA mostly, and what happened was basically the CMA. I felt like they were colluding with FTC because they had a lot of meetings in between, the deal and whatnot, and all of a sudden, the minute the FTC court or case fails. Oh, let's have a conversation, Microsoft. They had all this time to
Yeah.
say, hey, let's figure out some remedies, like the EU did. The EU was like, all right, if you license or if you license out those games on the cloud to other cloud competitors without charging them a fee, then it's fine with us. Because the cloud was like the biggest thing. It's like, oh, we don't know where the cloud's going. If you guys have all these games on the cloud, you might have you might be able to, influence a lot of people to your service. So it's kind of fair. But the FTC was like, or not FTC, CMA was like, the cloud's an issue, basically counting everybody on Game Pass as a cloud user, which is bullshit. So hardly anybody uses the cloud on Game Pass. It was like,
Mhm.
I think they said like 5% of people actually use the cloud.
And that's one of those things, not to get sidetracked, where these companies they push this next big thing idea, like I remember Red Knight in
And nobody's making money. They're losing money on it.
2018, when right after he got his One X, and I was looking at it. I don't know if I had the PS4 Pro then or not, and he's like, "Oh, I mean, they're setting up with Game Pass. Obviously, he was a big advocate, but he's like the cloud streaming. They're putting the infrastructure down. It's gonna be it, you know." And it probably sounds. I mean, it sounds like a great thing, and you'd think more people would be up for it with all the streaming content. But it's just like Stadia learned the lesson, and I mean, at least Microsoft, you
Well, well, here's the thing with Stadia. Like, Stadia probably had the best cloud service out of everybody.
Yeah, it was pretty
you
good.
had to buy
We're
the
talking
games,
about
which hurt.
Yeah, we're talking about Google here, who
Google doesn't commit if
they
something
don't
doesn't
commit
take
to
off.
shit.
If it
They don't
does not
commit
take
right.
off,
I
then
mean,
it's
Microsoft's
like,
not
nah.
going to give up on it, but I think it's just going to be one of those little side perks more than anything.
Well, it's a side perk, and that's fine. Like, I love using it because obviously I play it when I'm not at home. I can game um, away from my console and shit. But the other thing that's really cool about it is that you can, because the Game Pass, you can play shit without downloading. It's like, okay, do I really want to play this game?
Yeah.
Do I want to
That's
commit?
how I used
You can
it.
just go to the cloud and use the shit and be like, oh yeah, I like this game. I'll download it now. And that's how a lot of people use it. So it's a cool perk.
Yeah,
But
but
that's just
I
it.
think
It's
in their
not like
mind
a
they
new
thought it was
way.
going to be the new way to play, and it's
Right.
like they put a lot of infrastructure, which is great. I mean, my experience on it was positive on the One S, but it's just crazy that it's hard to predict what consumers are going to want and how they're going to use it. Like we
Right.
talked about
But the CMA is trying to predict that. And that's the part I think that's bullshit. It's like, okay, well, we don't know if this thing is going anywhere. Everybody's failed. Sony was like the first company to do this shit. What was it called?
PlayStation Now.
Yeah, before now they
Oh
did
no,
something
PlayStation
else.
TV.
No, I think it was.
It wasn't PlayStation TV.
Yeah, because you
was
could
it?
stream like the PS1 and 2 games on or PS3
Yeah, but
games.
I think maybe there was another company that had On Live. Was it On Live? That was like 2011. I think it was called On Live, and it's not around anymore. So to try to
PlayStation Now
predict,
was, I think, pretty much
and
done
then
too.
PlayStation Now also, yeah, like that's another thing. They
'Cause
kind
it's on the
of
Sony
shuffled
TVs. Buy
everybody.
it, comes with every Sony TV,
Right.
but no one.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's
Yeah.
weird because gamers buy it all digital mostly now, but they don't want to stream. So
Yeah, because of the fidelity. It's not
it's not
It's
like
not clean
Buying
enough.
downloading it online means you can still download it to your device and get it at high quality. You
Yeah.
can't necessarily stream at 4K consistently throughout the entire.
yeah, and
but Google, it was actually really good from what
No,
I
it
hear.
was.
except it didn't work on
Like-
mine for whatever reason. It worked for Terrell, and it
No.
worked for mine through Chrome. But
It looked.
Yeah.
It
The
looked
problem
I
with
really
heard
good.
I heard Stadia was really good and stable and everything. So
with
It
gaming
was.
though, you can't have when it starts micro blocking or whatever, and
Right.
you can't have that
certain games,
for
certain
shows
games.
and movies. You could live with that for
Yeah,
a
it depends
second.
on the game.
But also, there's no alternative right now to downloading and watching a show. Like,
No.
if you got Max and you want to watch The Last of Us, whatever quality you get, which is actually pretty good. I think Max is up there with some of the best streaming quality for video.
It wasn't in the beginning, but it is now.
Because HBO,
Yeah, they got
Game
their
of
shit
Thrones
together,
used to be
definitely.
trash
Yeah.
on there. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
But if you have like slow internet or internet issues, and I was trying to watch a football game on Paramount Plus, Detroit Lions aren't on Paramount Plus on CBS much, but it was so bad, like resolution wise, and I'm like, if I just had the option to for shows and stuff, if you give people the option to download and watch it whenever they can or at full quality, I think more people would choose that route versus the streaming.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot more, but I think there would be an amount of people. I would
I
definitely
think it'd be a good
it's
amount.
like
of
YouTube
people.
Premium. I can download a 2-hour podcast at home and then go to work and just play it without. Obviously, it has to connect to show that I'm me, but it doesn't have to stream something. I mean, there's benefits to downloading versus streaming, and at some point, I think streaming will probably just be the only way. But we're probably years and years.
I don't know. We're
Um,
probably decades away from that shit.
And then since we're talking about acquisitions, let me read you this. I don't know if you guys saw this in the
I
chat.
saw. I know what you're gonna say. I saw it in the chat. Go
So
ahead.
a fellow home theater enthusiast in Michigan, he's got a pretty high end room. I'm gonna say he's a big Apple guy, and so here's his initial comment. Apple buying Disney Entertainment properties? Question mark. Yes, please. Then go buy Nintendo next. I'm in. What do you guys think? I said, hell no.
Oh no.
Nintendo earned
Hell
$5 billion in software in 2021. They lead the industry. I said, if Apple wants to get into the gaming industry, that they would need Nintendo, but Nintendo definitely does not need Apple. His reply: I've been wanting Apple to pick up Nintendo for a long time, dump the Switch and all of Nintendo's specific hardware, and put all the Nintendo properties into Apple Arcade with phone, tablet, and M-chip Apple TV gaming power. I'd love it. Apple has more than enough cash to seal the deal. They can be a legit gaming company overnight instead of continuing to dabble. Thoughts?
Dump the Switch, their most profitable
and all their hardware, and basically it would just be streaming through
all time.
phones and tablets.
Like, what?
He was serious. He doesn't like the low-powered Switch. He's got a 4090 the day they came out. You know, $2,000 graphics card. I don't even know how
Apple
much.
makes a 4090?
No.
Oh,
I'm just saying he likes high-end visuals.
No, I'm saying so he has to have a different device.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's got a regular PC for gaming, but he wants Apple to buy Nintendo to become a player in the gaming industry overnight.
I'm the big Apple guy, but I got a 4090.
What else is he gonna do?
Right. Okay. Well, that's the thing.
But he doesn't like the Switch because to him it's like it's just not good enough quality for him to bother, and I'm just like I can't relate to that, man.
I can't relate.
I love graphics. I'm always talking about I wish Nintendo had more power here and there, but I'm not saying.
And I love me some Apple. I love Apple, but stay very fucking far away from Nintendo.
You're gonna have a $1,200 Switch 2, and it's gonna be the equal to the Steam Deck, but it won't tell you the specs, just like Nintendo, and it'll be equal to the Steam Deck for $1,200.
Look how sleek it is,
and they'll have some cool ass commercials for it. So.
No thanks.
Yeah, my reply to that was that's the worst thing I ever read, honestly. And I said I told it to my Nintendo buddies, and one guy thought there's no way that guy's not a troll, and he's dead serious. Like he loves his Apple products.
Apple has a pretty amazing streaming service, and nobody gives a shit.
Apple TV.
What do you think is going to happen?
Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
and nobody cares. Some good shows on there. Lots of big name celebrities. Shows,
but no one cares. You want that to happen to Nintendo? No, thank you. No.
What's
no
that
thanks.
Headset thing they showed? How much was that? $3,000 or something?
God.
$3,500?
The AR headset.
That's gonna fail.
Who's that? Who's that for? Doctors?
And everybody, Robert's like, oh, you could have a 300-inch TV in your living room. For one person, you can. If you have a family of 4, you need 4 of those fucking things.
They're sitting there looking at you. Like what are we doing here?
You could buy a really nice TV for $3,500 and about 100-inch.
If you're by yourself, it's great. No thanks.
But yeah, I just thought that was crazy. It's just, I mean, I honestly at this point, Microsoft, they can't use the excuse that we need, to compete anymore. And if once this deal's settled, written, and they can't say, oh, we need this company to compete now. Like you can't say that anymore. Like you should have enough.
Let me, because you guys probably aren't in the loop. Let me explain what Microsoft is dealing with. All right, so obviously Sony. I mean, we can go back. I'm not gonna go back and litigate Sony versus Sega, but right now. This is what Microsoft was dealing with. Obviously, Microsoft was in a situation with the Xbox One where they were like, we don't know if we're going to even continue with gaming. So their games were few and far between. We're still kind of reeling from that right now.
Yeah, and they shot themselves they were about with the hardware in the reveal.
Right,
too.
Exactly. Don Matrick totally screwed a pooch with the reveal of that system and everything. So we all know that history. So Sony, being opportunist, I don't blame them at all, was like, we have an opportunity to destroy these motherfuckers and get rid of them, basically. So what they started to do was, let's pay to keep shit off of Xbox. It wasn't just, oh, let's, have exclusive deals, blah, blah, blah. We don't want your game on Game Pass. If you want to do business with us, we don't want you dealing with Microsoft. And you can do that when you're selling 3-1 with the other console. So you have that kind of leverage. And that's what Microsoft was dealing with. So people say, oh, don't buy the company, go out and make deals. Whereas like, we're not going to get the same deal that Sony's getting. They're getting 90-10 or 80-20 at best. And they were like, that's just not viable for us to do. To sell a couple million more units, we can't do that at this point. And Sony, Ghostwire Tokyo, what's the other one? Deathloop. And then they were trying to secure Starfield as well, lock it up. And they were like, we can't, what are we going to do with that? We can't compete that way. But what we can do, when we get all this cash on hand, we'll just buy the fucking company. If this is a game you guys want to play, we'll buy the company and let you deal with it. And that's what they're doing. Now, people can have, issues with that. But as a business, to me, that is a smart move. It's like, I'm not going to pay, hundreds of millions and $1 billion to secure a game for a year when I can spend $7 billion and buy the fucking company and secure. Like, that's just smart business to me. I know a lot of people don't like it.
I didn't mind
I'm
the
not
Bethesda
sure
one
that
as
I
much.
do.
Like the Bethesda one to me was just like, yeah, that kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
But
again with Call of Duty, they were getting a shitty deal because Activision, fucking Bobby Kotick went to them and was like, hey man, y'all ain't selling as many copies as Sony is. We can't give you the same deal. So they were getting a shitty deal for Call of Duty. I think it was 80-20.
Well, that's how it works in distribution. If you don't buy enough volume, you don't get as good of a deal. So your competition buys huge numbers of an item, they can get it at a better price, sell it cheaper, and you can't.
So how do you get yourself out of that hole when everybody thinks Call of Duty basically is a Sony game because they're the only ones that can market it, right?
It's funny though, everybody I know that plays it on Xbox. That's crazy.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what the numbers are. That's
I
not
know
the
the
case.
numbers, but I don't know anybody that plays Call of Duty on PlayStation.
Sony was paying all that money for a reason because they were making fucking $1 billion a year in revenue just on Call of Duty. So what do you do as Microsoft in that situation? You can't. You're gonna pay twice what Sony's paying. That's just not smart business.
No.
So
I guess I don't really care. It's funny that none of these companies they've bought, I'm like a huge fan of, like Blizzard, Activision, Bethesda. Like
they got a couple games here and there that
so
I
it doesn't
care,
like I'm not personally attached to the companies they bought in, which makes it easier for me. I don't love the idea in general of all this corporate bullshit from either company. I mean, Nintendo back in the NES days was doing dirty deals and stuff too, just because they could. They forced how much they charged the licensing fee for the cartridge.
And they were fucking over developers big time.
Until Sony came and now they pulled an opposite thing. They're like, well, we'll sell you the license fee for $1, not $5 or $6. So they came in and undercut, which is a different strategy, but still, a very common business strategy. But it's just weird because none of these games I'm like super attached to. So it's hard for me.
But here's the thing, and I totally agree. The thing, it's a revenue play. It's a King. People forget about King. Candy Crush makes $7 million a day. A day.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking for revenue. They want to get in mainly to mobile, and that's their end. You can organically start. Good luck. Organically started from scratch in mobile today. I mean, that's just not feasible. A lot of gamers are saying, oh, they can't organically. No, not at this point. I feel
like it just sucks that they fucked the Xbox One because they had the momentum from the 360.
Yeah, the Xbox One is what screwed them. I mean, even Phil Spencer said that was the worst generation to lose was the Xbox One because everybody's digital libraries started in that generation. And it's hard to pull people away from the digital library, no matter how good your system is.
If the 1S was the initial unit at 400 or 300, I mean, it would have had to been cheaper than the PS4. And it's hard. You can't. There's no going back. This is hindsight.
If they weren't talking TV, and DRM, then they would have a way better.
It's just like saying what would the GameCube been if they had Majora's Mask at launch on GameCube. It's like I'm just thinking like what what would I would have liked to know what would have happened if they
It would
just
have been
came out,
better, but I don't think. I think the main thing, and
because
I'm
these
kind of
deals,
going back on my initial. It was those little discs.
yeah,
That was a huge issue, and obviously the licensing fees as well.
because they had to
But
put
Sony was,
a lot of games on dual disc, and then
yeah,
the one less button on the GameCube. There's a lot of factors for the GameCube, but
yeah,
the Xbox One, I mean, the S was a solid system. I mean, it was definitely a step
yeah. The S
down.
was great.
Step down. You could see the visual drop was noticeable compared to PS4 and PS4 Pro, obviously. But I just would have loved to have an even playing field and know what would have happened, because I
Yeah,
think
that would have been,
I think we would,
especially with Nintendo faltering as bad as it did.
and it,
Sony was able to just run roughshod that generation.
and it
So
just sucks that Sony got in a position where they could make these. I don't know what kind of deals you want to, what phrase it is, but basically
market leader deals.
just be like, yeah, we're this is the way to crush the competition. I
Yeah.
mean, it just sucks. I honestly, if this sounds like kumbaya shit, but if just
But you can't blame Sony, really.
No.
I mean, you
there might
got
be
to blame them.
I mean, if Xbox had a better system,
Right.
and it probably wouldn't have been as runaway. Because remember saying, why is the PS4 selling so well? Well, I think it was a lot of it was just all the Xbox guys leaving Xbox and buying PlayStations, because the Xbox One was such a bad launch. I mean, because we're like, why is the PS4 selling so much? There's no games right now.
There was nothing. It was really nothing impressive on the system,
And I think
and it was just selling.
so. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see moving forward. My buddy who's a big Blizzard fan, he's excited because he thinks the CEO is going to get fired or step down as soon as the deal's done.
Oh, he's totally gone. His deal, I think he's through April. He's handling the transition, but he's gone. He's definitely gone. He can't say that, and Microsoft can't say it because they haven't acquired them yet.
Mm-hmm.
But his deal, I believe, is through April 2024, and after that, they're going to drop him, no doubt about it.
So
Because he's terrible.
I mean, the one, what's the expression? It's not what you get, what you ask for, but you make this deal, get it written. It's gonna take a year or so for it to really, be fully integrated and stuff, or maybe even longer. There's no excuses. There's no wait for E3s and stuff. This is it.
No.
Like, you can't falter now. You can't have you can't have big gaps of games and stuff.
Well, I think without this deal, they showed a lot of really good stuff. Even before having nothing to do with Activision. So
yeah,
it's time. Time is now.
Yeah, now is you got to deliver now. Like, I mean, that's.
I think people feel more confident once stuff starts really coming out.
Mhm.
And people and we're seeing that it either reviews well or it plays well, because the problem is we keep going through these weird hit and miss. Well, a lot of misses, couple hits though. I'm not going to act like Microsoft didn't have a couple hits. Like Hi-Fi Rush at the beginning of this year was still a great game.
Yeah,
a great game.
They didn't treat it well, but it's a great game.
Yeah, so like, I think people just want consistency from them. If we get if Starfield comes out and we get the next couple of games and we don't have any issues, then I think people will feel a bit more confident about these, because like the deal in itself is kind of like whatever, but it also has a string of fear, because it's like, you guys' track record ain't been great with these studios, so I'm a little like, people are a little concerned to a degree, and I get it. It's Activision. Like, the only way you really could fuck that up is if you fired everybody or some shit. Like, so it's.
Well, for better or for worse, Microsoft kind of lets the studios do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
for better or worse.
Well, no. And to be fair, they're not the only. Nintendo's done that with some of the third party.
Nintendo does it too. Yeah.
You try to. He's like, okay, you guys are the artists. This is the art y'all want to make. We'll let you create your art. So I don't fault them for it, but I feel like, I don't know. It depends on the game. Certain games have had different problems, but I think some games got rushed out of the door just for the sake of meeting a quota, I think sometimes it would have been better to take the hit for certain games and okay, I'll let it be delayed another year, and then it comes out and it's a really good title, versus it coming out on time, and then you're just
talking about Redfall.
Yeah, Redfall would be one of the best, one of the most recent examples.
I hear you, but I think Redfall was never going to be a good game because
Yeah.
nobody's heart was in that shit. None of the
It's like
the
Crackdown
studio
3.
didn't want to make it. Yeah,
So that game was shot no matter what.
yeah, they didn't want to make it. They literally did not want to continue making that game.
That's Hode.
And
That's a
they were
shame.
forced by Bethesda to continue it.
Kind of like Blade
They wanted
3
to make it a
Trinity.
live service game. It was supposed to be a live service game.
Wow.
Remember with Blade 3 Trinity with
Oh
or
no,
Blade Trinity?
I was just talking about that to somebody.
There's
my
a reaction
God.
channel I watched. She was asking about Blade, and
How bad that
I commented. I was
was.
like, "Yeah, watch the first two. Probably just skip the third."
skip the third
And
one. Just
multiple
skip it.
people were like, "Don't you tell her what to watch and what let her make her decision." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Have you seen this movie?"
Losers.
And they're like, "Oh, it's got its charm." Blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here."
No, it doesn't.
It
No, it doesn't.
I wish somebody would have said, "Don't watch that movie. You're not gonna get anything out of it. It's only gonna be negatives." Like,
Or Chris Christopherson.
yeah,
I feel so bad for him. It's like they killed him off in the first one. They shouldn't have. They brought him back. Guillermo del Toro was like, "What are you guys doing? Why did you kill off this guy?" They brought him back, and then they kill him off again in the third one. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, what the fuck, bro?
but yeah. Anyway, Redfall should have
what a
just been
waste.
canceled. I mean, that's basically what Phil Spencer said. There was no fixing the game. A delay was not going to fix the game.
Yeah,
That's why
there was no fixing it.
They just released it.
Well, they took the L in
They just said, "Fuck
right.
it. We got to get some money out of this
people
thing
played
and
it.
get rid
Some
of
people played it. Some people might even bought it. Paid $70 for it. Unfortunately for them.
it." God bless them. God
Um,
bless them.
God bless them.
It is a piece of shit.
We salute you, ma'am
is
or
a-
sir.
It is a garbage.
Or they.
game. Like, here's the thing. The worst thing you can say about like a movie or a game is that it was just bland and
Mhm.
boring. Like if a game is like so bad it's good, that works. Or a movie so bad it's good, at least it has something. It is just so bland and boring and visually mediocre.
You know what I
It's
just watched?
There's nothing to latch onto.
I just watched a movie that fits that description. It's called 65
Oh,
million
no,
years
I was about to
ago.
watch it. I was about to watch that.
I mean, there's some cool ideas for tech
Adam Driver though. Adam Driver he's a great actor.
There's
man.
the child actor. She's like 14, I think, when they filmed it. She is a fuck amazing. But
Yeah.
talk about a goes nowhere, serves no purpose. There's no. I mean, my sister's like, "Oh, it has heart," and I'm like, I mean, it tries to
the
have
title.
heart. It's just
The title's lazy.
the
It's a
title
lazy
and
title.
the advertising. You knew they didn't. They knew it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Just like Redfall.
Yeah.
They had to put it
Yeah.
out though. It has some of the dumbest, weirdest dinosaur designs. They try to change the designs just to give us something new, and it's like, I think it was like a T-Rex, but it moved like a what are those big
Raptor.
the big lizard dragons? Komodo dragon. It kind of
Oh, that's
shaped
weird.
like a Komodo dragon T-Rex thing, and it's just like, why? I get you trying to do something different. They just look weird, but anyway, it's just one of those movies they had to put out. I'm sure they knew it was a turd. The advertising knew it was a turd. 65, 65. Like, it's a dumb title. It's a forgettable movie, but I mean, it's free on Netflix. If you got Netflix, you might as well watch it. You know, you never
Think
know.
about it. Did you see a lot of ads for Redfall? I don't
No.
remember seeing any.
Not really,
Well,
no.
They knew it was a turd. They weren't gonna spend no money on that shit.
Ever since I have YouTube Premium and I got rid of cable TV, I don't see commercials ads much anymore. So
Oh.
Twitter and
Well,
Instagram.
I see a lot of ads all the time, and I don't remember
Yeah, I still
seeing
see ads
almost
a lot.
any Redfall.
I did
ads.
see a lot of
Redfall, no,
65
no.
ads though. That's funny. Talking
Really?
about that movie? Yeah, because I don't know what it was on. I was watching something where almost every ad was.
65.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. It just dropped on Netflix.
No, but
right?
when the movie hit theaters, I
oh,
saw
oh, oh,
I saw a lot of. I don't know where I was watching them because I had premium back then, I believe. But yeah. Either
Somebody
way,
spent some money.
I'm trying to think of another game that would kind of fit that bland. You played it, you finished it, but you're just like, whatever. I'll never think of that game again. I mean,
damn it.
I've started some and given up, but as far as like ones
I'm thinking of one because I know there's one
I
that's
feel like I
like
had
that.
one recently.
There's
right
not a
up.
many. It's not many games that's like that where
Yeah,
it's either
usually-
just terrible and it's funny because it's so bad, like Gollum or some shit, or it's really good.
Or it's
It's
just
rarely
not
that
you
it's
don't
just
keep playing.
bland.
You just quit after like
Right.
an hour, you know.
I think. Do I have any?
I know there was one where I was just like, I don't know why I just kept playing that. Like, I just wanted to finish it, but it wasn't anything special. And that is like the worst thing. I mean, because you
That's the
can
worst
laugh
compliment.
at bad, glitchy, buggy game, but something that's
Right.
just meh,
At least there's some
bland,
entertainment out of that.
like it's just. That's how I mean, I didn't feel quite like that about Spider-Man. Overall, I'd say it's worth playing, but it was borderline at times. Like, what am I doing here? Like, this is just every one of these little side distractions is just the same routine. Like some people said that about Tears of the Kingdom. So, um,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I like Spider-Man too much to make that claim.
I for me, and you guys probably heard me say it before, superhero games are like whatever, bro. Like even if they're really good,
pushing
I
through
don't
the
know. They just
no. But here's the thing.
they don't move me.
I think it depends on when they come out. Like for me, Spider-Man, I think over time I become more aware of like I want to say mediocrity. It's just it's a fine game. But like when I think back to when Batman Arkham
Okay,
that
I was
one
gonna
was a
say
big
Batman
when
spark.
Arkham Asylum came out,
Arkham Asylum.
we
That was a
hadn't
difference.
gotten a Batman
right.
game in a while, and it was
Right.
I think it was before the Nolan
Or
It was
a
the
film.
good
first
superhero
good one.
game, period. Or a good
Yeah.
superhero game.
And we were just like, and I was just like, fuck. But see, that was right before the
This shit is
boom
like
hit.
Metroid, yo. This shit is cool.
Yeah, it was right before the boom happened with superhero stuff to where people got burnt out. Now it's
Okay.
like Spider-Man
take-
2's coming out. And
Here's the thing. Not only that, this is the third Spider-Man game in 5 years. You're reaching Splatoon levels. You're like slow this shit down, bro.
People will probably be more excited if Miles Morales didn't come out.
I wish
Right.
they hadn't. I wish they had
I'm-
just not put Miles Morales out.
I'm a little burnt out.
Well, Robert said
That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't touch Miles.
Robert said he
Said
enjoyed
what?
Miles Morales way more.
I've heard it's a good game. But my problem was it was too close to the first game.
Well, here's my breakdown of this, and I felt it got better if I just focus more on like completing the main story. So you get a call or whatever, you're doing something. All right, get to this point, something's going on. Either that person you talk to is like your Overwatch character, like Batman's Oracle. I don't know who she's, a police officer or something. Calls them. All right, get to this point. So you can either swing there, or you can fast travel there. You get within the circle, and you get a cinematic. The cinematic ends. You're either going to chase somebody or going to enter a building, do a little bit of gameplay, get another cinematic, and then either have some kind of action set piece sequence or a boss fight. Beat the boss, get another cutscene, and then it puts you back in the open world just randomly on top of a building, and then you just swing to the next location. It's just rinse and repeat. That's the formula. Now, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but there wasn't a lot of variety.
Oh yeah, by the time we got to Origins, I was like, all right, guys.
Same with Batman.
Yeah. See,
I'm talking about Batman Arkham Origins.
Yeah, when I played
well, go ahead.
I was gonna say when I played City, I was already kind of burnt out on the formula.
Really? Because City to me was the best.
City opened that bitch up, and I was like, "Oh, this is it."
The best thing about City to me was that you could go into certain parts of the city and trigger events without realizing it,
right?
And then it would feel like organic. The problem with Spider-Man still goes back to that whole you gotta go to this area, and then you have to trigger the cutscene in the area.
A lot of quick time events too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and it's like, if this was the first Spider-Man game, like if this came out in 2007, I'd be here for it.
Right.
But it's like 2019, I think, is when that game came out, and I'm just like, it's fine.
And I'm sure it's gonna be a great game. I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying my excitement for superhero games in general has kind of waned. I'm like, all right.
I'll put it this way.
Everybody's kind of doing the Batman thing, where it's just like counter punch, counter.
I think I will say Wolverine. I think has more potential, but that's not the one that's coming out.
I think that's going to lead itself to even more of the Arkham gameplay.
I know. I feel like that's going to be.
But it should be a Bayonetta like combo system. I would hope
it could. See, that's the thing. That's why I want to see it. If I can see it, I'm like, okay,
it's insane.
Because that has the potential to be.
I don't think it's going to happen because that's very video gamey. That's too video gamey for I think Insomniac or Sony in general.
Actually, their gameplay is very basic video gaming, but they just slap a bunch of like high quality visuals and cinematic presentation on top of it. But their gameplay is the simplistic. Like there's sections in Spider-Man where you literally just I think you have to press up on the stick and you get the prompt to hit the button at the right time, or you have to move the cursor.
Oh yeah, we had to line it up with the shot.
And it's just like,
And the,
I mean, it's the most basic of basic gameplay, and it's like there's whole sections that are like sequences that end up being that. I mean, you got to swing, then you get close, and then you have to repeat the quick time event, and it's just like, so I'm not really looking forward to 2 at all. So my year for Sony is shot. There's nothing. So
yeah, it's weird that is it me or is it feels like I don't know. It feels weird that Sony only has like 1 or 2 major games a year now. Like I feel like it used to be more.
I think 3 was like their average for towards the end of the PS3's life until now. I mean,
the only reason I said because like last year was only what 2 games, right? It was
Gran Turismo.
Oh
7.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about Gran Turismo.
And then
wait, what?
I was talking about like Sony standards for like releases. It feels like it's weird that we've gotten down to like 1 or 2 games a year now, and I'm like, I could have swore it used to be more than that.
I mean, back in the PS2 era, it was a lot more, but
yeah, it was a lot more. But they've been saying this shit for years. Those first party titles are very expensive and they take forever, and they don't make as much money as they want them to. So that's why they slow down. And you're gonna be getting some live service games coming because they showed a lot of that shit during their.
I appreciate.
I wish they would go back and reinvest into some of the AA stuff though.
I do too. I don't know why
I mean,
I don't know why none of these companies care about AA. I don't know why.
If you look at something like Sackboy though, they hired a Sumo and they made a solid 3D platformer. So it's like, it hasn't that long ago. The Astro they gave to somebody, and it's like they need to make a full-fledged game out of that. But it's not like
I just think
do
the volume of games. Like, how many games could you make on Spider-Man's budget? How many AA games could you make on that?
Could probably get at least, I would say at least 3.
Probably 10 Rush Hour, or not Rush Hour. Gravity Rush. Probably 10 Gravity Rushes.
I was like, what?
I was like, Rush Hour.
Like in the movies again.
I just watched Rush Hour trilogy not that long ago, so. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like something. I mean, Sackboy, I wouldn't want that exact style every time, but something like that every year or something, that's smaller. And even if they gotta I don't know what the deal was with Kana, Bridge of Spirits.
I don't know what happened
only
with
on
that.
PC and PlayStation, so I don't know what the deal is, but that's something where obviously they paid. I'm guessing they paid for an exclusive deal with that.
I guess.
But you could take that team and say, "Hey, here, take one of our IPs and make like a Sly Cooper."
I would like them to reinvest into some of their other stuff because like the other problem is that, and people get mad when I bring it up, but like Sony's game style is pretty much devolved into like one kind of game style, which is the fucking cinematics. Third person. I'm just like
Sad Dad Simulator.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying those games are bad, but what I'm saying is
they're all good games. They're all really good.
But it's like it's the only kind of game we get for the most part. Unfortunately, Spider-Man is the variety of Sony currently, because at least it's like a fucking action game for the most part.
For Retro Death, he's not gonna want to hear this. Like,
don't
Days
do it.
Gone.
Days Gone too.
Days Gone was such a clone of The Last of Us in so many ways. Yeah, they added the whole horde system, which was really cool. I mean, that was the best part of the game. But the basics of the game, crafting and sneaking around, taking out zombies, I mean, having played Last of Us 1 and 2, it just felt right at home. But when I played Ghost of Tsushima, when I played like Ghost of Tsushima, it didn't feel like anything else I've ever played from Sony, for me personally. That felt really unique. It felt very video gamey too, which is weird because it's so cinematic, but it just felt very much like a video game. And so more stuff like that.
Oh hell, Returnal! You got to give them credit for Returnal.
Amazing. Curious to see if that. I haven't checked that release, didn't it, on PC a while ago?
It's on.
I didn't look to see if the Steam Deck how it ran on Steam Deck.
It runs pretty well.
Because that would be
I've seen footage. Yeah,
that'd be a gorgeous game.
I guess
I'm waiting for the price to come down. I want to play.
How much is it now?
I think it's like 60.
70
really?
was the default, but I picked it up for
$49.99,
$49.99, and I've
I
seen
thought
it.
Steam had their summer sale.
They have sales, but I think I don't know if that what game was on sale or not.
I just care. No, you're right. It's still. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why is this bitch still 60? That's crazy to me, bro. Well, technically it was 70. I keep forgetting that.
Not on PC. It was always 60.
It was always
On
60, and they
Steam,
just
yeah.
never. And it's
PC
never
game
been
ain't
on
going for that
sale.
shit.
I didn't really hear much about like the PC port, how
No,
it was.
I think it was on sale once.
I don't remember hearing
I
if
keep. It came out this year on PC.
Yeah, it came
so I
out
guess
this year.
So I guess I could kind of.
it's one of those games that they're gonna be like, man, didn't really sell that well. You know, we're proud of it, but it didn't really sell that well. We might not have. We might have to go a different direction, which sucks. Because it was, for me, that felt completely unlike anything Sony.
Well, the problem is that Sony's had kind of a strategy since, I would say, the PS3, where like the PS3 was probably the more mix of PS2, but like new style. But my thing was that what they would do is you go into a new generation, they would drop a bunch of IPs, and then like you might get one or two, maybe three new IPs, and then you would get sequels to them in the same generation. And then they would kind of just jump into the next generation with those games. It's like they would always cut off some titles every time they jumped into a new generation. And now it's getting to the point where I'm like, well, what the fuck do you have left that you're still like actively supporting? Because it's what? Ratchet and Clank, God of War, I guess technically Last of Us, but I don't know.
Well, God of War fit into that category though. They put 3 games out on. They put 2 on the PS2, and then 2 on the PS3.
Yeah, there we go. That's
what it is.
No, there was 3 on PS2. No.
And then 2 on PS4.
3, yeah,
well,
you're right.
And then you had that PSP
the
game.
PSP games, there's 2 of them.
So I kind of want to give them credit for not just
God of War is a little bit
relying on the
different
same IPs. Now, yeah, if you love the game, but like everyone says, only the first, what was that Naughty Dog game that everybody liked, the first game, and then it fell apart. Robert did a back of the backlog on one of the sequels, I think. It's 2 dudes, Jack and Daxter. Everyone said that after the first game, the series fell apart. I don't know why or what happened.
Because they
also
because they pushed them out too fast.
It was like a year gap between games.
Yeah, but they also like completely changed the feel of the games.
Yeah, they did.
The second one, like it got really serious and like edgelord.
Yeah, it got super dark all of a sudden.
Like, what is this?
So some of them is probably better. They just took a break, and maybe like if they brought one back, it would be pretty big. Like I think it's been long enough since Uncharted 4 that if they announced a new Uncharted game next year, I think it would be pretty exciting.
I think my only problem is that like for the IPs we're losing, we're not gaining that much.
No,
like
right.
I think that's my issue. Like okay, fine, if you want to cut off, you don't want to do like Jack and Daxter anymore. Cool. What's my replacement? And technically for PS3 it was technically, I don't want to say it's Heavenly Sword, but Heavenly Sword was a new IP that also died in its after its first game.
Yeah,
and we never talk about that game again. Most of y'all in the chat don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. What the fuck is the hell is Heavenly Sword? And I feel like the PS4 we pretty much got shit because Knack died on that console.
Yeah, that
died.
Knack was one of it was not.
How much I'm trying to think how much carried over from the PS4 IP wise?
But what do you have that was new on the PS4? That's specifically a PS4 game. Horizon carried over.
The God of War
that's one.
Reboot carried over. I mean, it's cross-gen, but I expect a Ghost of Tsushima
Shadow
sequel.
of the Colossus.
Do
we remaster?
Yeah,
I guess. What was the other one? With the dog bird.
Last Guardian.
No, Last Guardian.
I've had that downloaded.
Gravity Rush.
I've had that downloaded.
Oh no, Gravity Rush is dead.
I've had Last Guardian downloaded on a PS4 and now a PS5 for over 2 years. I've never booted it up. I can't.
It's so compelling, that game.
But yeah, that's my point. Like
I have it and I haven't touched it. I have it too.
The PS4 generation is like, it's like another one of their most successful in terms of like sales, and I'm like, what? How many IPs really came out of that were like?
Yeah. So let's go, because Nintendo had its most successful generation with the Switch. Let's do the same thing with Nintendo. Like, what was new on the Switch, or new in general? That like, oh, this is a new IP they're starting. This is going to be a series. Not a goddamn thing.
Arms potentially, but
No,
Arms.
the only difference is that technically we're in the PS5 and we're still waiting on titles. If we get the Switch 2 and we don't get or like
Okay,
whatever,
well,
then
that's not fair. Let's go back to Wii U then. Let's go to Wii U and say what
okay, fine.
you got. You got Splatoon.
Yeah,
Mario
Yeah,
Maker.
Mario Maker, which was
Yeah.
which didn't do as well on Switch as it did on Wii U,
yeah,
which is weird.
that was a shame too.
But there's a really good reason for that. The fucking gamepad is what made that game work as well as it did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the
They also
Switch.
didn't-
There's not a lot of new IPs on the Switch either to carry over.
Nintendo didn't add a lot of stuff. Most of their new IPs weren't on consoles, unless you call like Pushmo or
No,
Box or like Box
You
Boy
could-
or whatever.
Robert
And
would
that's
probably
that's
be
like 3DS.
There's probably something smaller game that we're missing.
There are
UFO,
smaller
whatever
kind
it's
of-
called, the UFO game. A
Yeah,
good
Nintendo
job.
didn't. To
And-
me, it's a little bit weirder because Nintendo will still use a lot of their older IPs. Not all of them, mind you, but like a lot of them.
or it's not to be a little more fair, or a series that was completely revitalized, like rejuvenated in some
Mhm.
way. You can add Breath of the Wild, or you can add Zelda to that. I would think Wii U, but it's pretty similar
Could
as
you-
far as
is
the
there-
mechanics on the
How
Switch.
many
It's kinda
Fire
hard to
Emblem
get-
Warriors games are there? Two?
Two. There's the one that came out in the beginning of the Switch, and then the one that came out like a year ago, I think.
It was like Three
That's
Houses
it.
based.
Yeah,
That
that's the
one
Three Houses
That
one.
game kind of came and went, didn't it? That game.
Well, because it's based on Three Houses, and even I don't really. I'm not a huge
I'm
fan of
trying to
Three
think
Houses.
of like new IPs, if you will.
New IP. Well,
Spin-offs on the Switch that we could look forward to. The second game coming, like Mario plus Rabbids, but it wasn't Nintendo. The sequel.
Although
already kinda
Ubisoft
bombed.
is still Ubisoft's kind of mad. Like, damn, we should have
Yeah.
just waited.
Oh,
Like that's
Ubisoft.
me. Like I'm in the middle of it. Like it's still a good game. I think
Wait,
it just
what game?
Mario Rabbids, the sequel.
Oh yeah. That
'cause you-
game.
Because Ubisoft was like, we should have waited, and I'm like, yeah, you might should have.
I'd like to see.
I still
like,
prefer the grid system. I still prefer the grid, but whatever.
I'd like to see like Arms 2 on the Switch sequel successor.
I very much want to see that.
I don't know if they will. God, what
Probably
other
not.
new?
It's probably not going to happen.
New IP wise, we didn't really get a
They
lot.
brought back 2D Metroid for consoles.
Yes, Metroid's kind of gone through its revival saga through
But as far as
the
like,
3DS and the Switch.
but Nintendo doesn't. They did abandon some IPs years ago, but I mean the Switch has gotten a pretty good. Sucks that some of them were ports from Wii U.
I
and
mean,
getting
yeah,
new.
yeah. I mean, hell, we just got our Pikmin 4 finally this weekend.
You know what kills me? I'm glad you brought up Pikmin 4. Is people say we've been waiting 10 years. Wait a minute. You've been waiting since the last game came out for a new one? Come on. That's a little unfair.
Yeah.
Give
That's
it a
like
couple
somebody.
years at least.
Yeah, somebody said, "Oh, I've been waiting 6 years for the sequel to Breath of the Wild." No, yeah.
No, you haven't. You have? Why?
Unless you beat it. Well, maybe they reviewed it. Maybe they beat it in the first 2 weeks and never played it again. Then technically,
Fucking
they have been
crazy
waiting
people.
6 years.
I mean, I guess, but you got to give. Come on, you got to give the games a little bit of fucking room to breathe.
Yeah, I would at least give it like a couple years.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
No, it's
Motherfuckers are crazy.
what I
that
hate
shit.
now is this new TV show model where they don't start filming the second season until the first season's out, and they think, all right, this is going to be a hit. So then you lose almost a whole year. Usually they're filming the second season while the first season's airing. They're not even writing anything until the first season airs, and then they're like, all right, we got a greenlit. Now let's write season 2 and do all the casting and pre-production.
Well,
now it's like, so 2 years from now you're gonna get a fucking new season.
I kind of get it because it's like you don't know if that's just going to be successful.
True.
You can be stuck with a second season that nobody gives a shit about Halo.
Exactly. I agree with that.
No one cares about Halo season
That's a
2.
different. That's a
They're
different
stuck.
kind of experience.
I think it also hurts to make people wait 2 years.
No, it does. It definitely does.
You're
That
not gonna
hurt
remember.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
That hurt
it's
a lot.
gonna- I
lot
think
of
it's
shows.
gonna
But I would think the best time to do it would be in the middle of the first season. See how well the first season's first couple episodes have been doing.
No, I think
Like,
if you gotta watch dailies, watch a first edit and say, all right, this is gonna be good.
Well, here's the thing though. If you know anything about TV production, movie production. When you go to pitch a TV show, you got to have 5 seasons in mind.
Yeah.
That's the bare
Or
minimum.
at least 3.
So that's what you got to do. So you should be ready to like, all right, after 2 episodes, people really love this thing. Let's go. You should be ready to be able to produce the next.
Well, Dune,
next,
the Dune
season.
sequel, they had that already written. There's no way it would have been out by now or in November.
Right?
No, they already had it written.
Yeah.
They already had all the design work done and stuff. They were planning on it. Now, for the I could understand you got the writers. You're gonna pay them for the first season. I get, but at least the creator work on an outline. Start
right.
Getting talks. It shouldn't be all right. The first episode, second episode. All right, we're a hit. We just got greenlit. All right, let's start from scratch. Like, yeah, you don't have to cast your main actors, but we're talking 2 years for House of Dragons, 2 years for Last of Us. Arcane is coming up on. When did that come out?
Nobody's gonna care when that shit comes back.
It doesn't even show second season's coming anymore on Netflix. I don't know. If
Invincible. What is that? December?
Boys.
Are you kidding me? Come on, that's too far. People are gonna stop caring. There's too much shit to watch.
Arcane came out in 2021. You're already 2 years. This November will be 2 years, and there's no sign of the second season. It's like, man, that's a lot of time. And just like The Witcher, I don't even remember what's going on. I don't think that show's.
It doesn't matter. It's trash.
I don't think the show's good enough.
It doesn't matter.
But I'm 3 episodes into season 3, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I think that's just poor. I think that they didn't set up the show.
Neither do the writers. They don't know what's going on.
It's
either,
just
bro.
They're saying names of cities, names of people. I have no idea anything. I made fun of my
That's
buddy.
why Henry Cavill said, "I'm out." That's why.
You got Yennefer looking good, and that's really all your saving grace. If you're a woman, then you got Henry Cavill. That's about it, because nothing makes sense.
It's nonsensical. It doesn't follow the fucking books or the game. It's whack.
I don't need it to follow the books or the game. I just need it to make sense for somebody watching.
If you're gonna make an IP, you gotta make some sense to get to people.
Well, if you're gonna deviate from the source material, at least make it so someone
if you're
can
gonna
follow
deviate,
along.
that shit better be good. That shit, but it's not.
Don't just throw down Nilfgaard and stuff. I have no idea what Nilfgaard is, where they're at. What
you don't know about Nilfgaard, bro?
No, in the game, I don't know what makes this people Nilfgaard. What makes this people this other nation? There's no. It's just all blends together. It's just random scenes of kings and people scheming. It's just dumb. But anyway,
it's throwing a lot of shit at you. Like they got some intricate plot, but they don't. It's not that good.
And now you don't even have the nudity they took away, which I know this day and age maybe you can't have it, but I think you still could.
It's something to hang on to.
So anyway, back to Nintendo. How we deviated.
God damn.
And Nintendo.
Oh, we're talking about short time spans between games and stuff, but we're talking about like new IPs or new things on Switch to look forward to on the next system. Yeah. I don't really.
And that's the thing. So when people say, "Oh man, the Switch has a billion games," blah 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 blah. Why isn't it not your favorite Nintendo console? Because my favorite Nintendo consoles are the one that brings some new cool shit that makes me really excited about. It could be about an existing IP, like obviously the N64. We got Zelda and all this stuff. They were completely a totally new dimension with those games, and they were all great. And it somehow the 2D game translated really well into 3D games, and that's why that system blows my mind even to this day. And when you talk about, it didn't have that many games, but it didn't. It had enough to make me like, wow, this is a ground-breaking device. Whereas the Switch is just like kind of going through the motions, and it's like better looking.
It's not bad. It's just more.
It's not bad at all.
It's more like continuations instead of like new shit.
Yeah, that's a good way.
It's an evolution and not the revolution.
I mean, they added a lot to Animal Crossing, but they didn't completely break the formula. Like that's not a Breath of the Wild moment. It's they added a lot.
A lot of the titles we got are like just, hey, look, that IP that you thought was gonna gone or we hadn't seen a game in a while. Here's a game for it. Like cool, Pikmin 4, cool, Bayonetta 3, like
Pikmin 1 and 2 while we're at it. Oh,
Yeah, fucking
we gave you
cool.
3 earlier, so the whole series is on this console. That's
it's
great.
like, hey, look, Metroid Dread. Like it's not like we're not getting stuff. Hell, what this year? Fucking hey,
Again,
look,
Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread would have been way better had we not gotten Samus Returns.
Yeah.
You know, it'd been like, oh man, yeah, return to 2D. That
Sometimes
would have
the
been like a big
timing's just
thing.
as important
yeah,
as the
but
game.
I don't know. I kind of I'm fine with that. It's if anything, I like the
No,
evolution.
I'm fine with it. I'm just saying the excitement. That's why the excitement isn't the same for me.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Like there are things. I don't know because I would say between the main three, they all have like different ways of handling it. Nintendo's always been kind of the nostalgia king, so their whole thing has always been, hey, look, you know that thing you remember from your childhood? Here it is again, but it's like newer and shinier and shit.
Right.
Whereas PlayStation's like, listen, we got to keep evolving. We got to give you new content, and we're like, cool. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, look, it's more Spider-Man. Evolution, baby. Let's go.
Hey, Last of Us 2 is getting remastered too. That's the
Why?
thing. Oh yes, buddy.
Why? I hate that there's
it's gotta coincide with season 2 on HBO.
Bro,
Part 1 doesn't look that much better than Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I don't understand. People keep forgetting that Last of Us 1 was an end of era PS3 title. And that game looked really fucking good. Looked really good. And motherfuckers went on PS4 and was like, I think it could look better. I'm like, yeah, but like not enough to be like, yeah, let's put it out again. Like, what the fuck? That game has like 4 iterations.
Here's the
that's money, as Cardi B would tell you. That's money.
Here's
moves.
the silver lining, though. I would say here's what makes it different than. Well, I mean, you could say the same for Last of Us Part 1, but I don't know what they're gonna quote unquote improve. But Last of Us Part 2 already has a 60 FPS patch for PS5. So if you have a PS5, you go find a copy for $10. You're gonna get a. It's not like the new version based on how Part 1 looks. It's not gonna look that much better. So
didn't The Last of Us have a patch, or not a patch, but wasn't Last of Us remastered?
Yeah, it was. It has a remastered.
Yeah,
but
remake,
I mean, and fucking like
it was.
What the fuck?
Is remastered as
I'm saying, you're trying to make logic for why it's not necessary. That logic doesn't matter.
You don't like. Yeah, you could play Last of Us remastered on PS5. I played through it. It's not a very good looking game. Even on PS4, I was like, yeah. I mean, yeah, it runs at 60, but
I'm playing it right now. I thought it looked pretty good.
It looks fine, but as what I'm saying is, it's not like you can't pick up a copy of The Last of Us 2 for used probably for $10 and play it on your PS5, get a really good looking 60 FPS experience. So I mean, you're not like you're not forced. You weren't with Part 1 either, but I think there's gonna be way less of a gap between Last of Us 2 and whatever the remake's gonna be than The Last of Us Part 1 over the remastered. So it'd be even less, and I don't think people are gonna be less feeling like they're missing out by playing the PS4 version on their PS5 is what I'm trying to say.
No, you're right, but I think what Sony is thinking is that here comes season 2. Here, Last of Us 2, and let's make some money. Yeah. Let's make some more money.
I mean, people. I think less.
I mean, I
feel like less people would buy that after the first one. I don't know.
I think the excitement won't be as good as
because Last of Us 2 is also too.
Because it already looked. I mean, Last of Us 2 is already pretty advanced, and I don't think there's really going to be side by side. It's going to be really interesting because I don't think there's going to be much to like.
I also think Last of Us 2 is more controversial anyway. So like the excitement, like Last of Us 1, a lot of people view as a classic, whereas but two is a little bit more divisive to where like some people like it, but some people don't like it as much. So the fan.
Well, the other thing is that the show is not going to follow that game the way the first season followed the first game. So
that's true.
That's another thing.
What if they split it? What if they split it into 2 games?
I would
Ellie stuff and Abby stuff. I could.
Actually, you know what? I think it'd be a better game for it. Ironically,
I think what you're going to get in the show is a lot of the flashback stuff that people wanted more of.
I think that'll be the first season 2. I think will be the flashback stuff from Part 2.
Yeah,
and then season 3 will be basically the present day stuff of Last of Us 2,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm fine with, honestly.
Yeah, because the show doesn't have to last forever. It's gonna be good 4 to 5 seasons, and we're good. Let's move on.
But yeah, you only got 2 games worth of material
Just
to
to
deal
get
with. Like,
Right.
Nitpicky critical with the creator.
what?
They didn't want spores, probably because they didn't want the actors in mass. So they like, oh, we'll come up with this idea, this root system. They're all connected and they can sense miles away. If you step on a vine or whatever, they can sense it. They only used that once in the entire first season, and that was in the second episode. They never mentioned it. They never revisited it. There was never a situation where somebody stepped on something. Oh shit, here comes a horde. Nothing like that ever happened again. And they made the conscious effort to get rid of the spores in the air. Is how you got sick.
I wish they didn't do that.
And they did this stupid. And he goes, yeah, for season 2, because I watched the official podcast with the creators. And
Are we going back to the spores?
And he goes, we really got to utilize the system of them being all connected. We kind of forgot about that in the first season because they were just trying to stick to the game, which the game didn't have that. Yeah. So all these episodes were following the game, and then they just completely forgot about something they added out of the blue that didn't need to be added. That, I mean, yeah, it could lead to cool stuff, but I always thought it was kind of unnecessary. Why not just have them be like small groups you run into? I guess they're trying to make something different, but yeah, this is something I thought was interesting. Anyway, I feel like Pikmin 4. I don't think any of us played it. Did you play the demo?
No. I haven't. I played it a little bit. Yeah, it was one of the games I got with the voucher.
Oh, nice. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The demo was weird. I was in a house. I don't know if the demo goes outside because I didn't finish it. And it was very simplistic, but I hear people seem to be really enjoying the new.
Oh, dude, I've heard like nothing but positive things, honestly, about the game.
Yeah. The game's all over Twitter. There's people sharing that shit.
I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up, but
I'm surprised this is the one that wants to blow up. But hey, fuck
it. The fourth one.
Wow, they renamed Twitter
that's what
already.
I remember.
Yeah, Twitter's renamed.
Yeah.
It's just X all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's renamed.
X means the X and me off this bitch because I'm out. I'm going to Threads. What the fuck? I don't like that shit at all.
It's just unnecessary corporate decisions that just turn people off and have no benefit. It's just dumb.
He's a genius.
They'll go back.
Anyway,
trust me, they'll go back.
You don't understand. Okay,
you don't understand he's playing 4D chess. You don't understand.
Yeah, you're over here playing checkers. Fuck.
Oh, I was gonna say fuck. You were talking about. Oh yeah.
What?
So, because somebody who said that about ARMS. It's sold okay. Lenny Wright said it in the chat that ARMS sold okay, so it deserves it. How many copies did ARMS sell? It was over 2 million.
2 million.
Right? Yeah, it was over 2 million.
All right, so here you have ARMS selling over 2 million copies, and will they ever get a sequel? We don't know. Up in the air. We got 4 fucking Pikmin games, and none of them bitches broke 1.5 million copies sold. So
yeah, but you know why? Because it's fucking Miyamoto.
It's Miyamoto's thing, right?
Yeah, Miyamoto
really cares about it.
If it was just another IP, he probably wouldn't have made it as far.
My point is, to people who just say, "Oh, it didn't sell well," that's not enough of a reason. And you can see through Pikmin, that's not a good enough reason. There's always nuance in why they won't make a sequel. It's not just the sales, because if you look at Pikmin, they keep making them bitches, and none of them are sold great.
It's also a game of like selling well enough. It's not even like sometimes just selling. It's like, do you sell well enough for the time that you're coming out?
You don't think ARMS sold well enough?
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, it totally sold well enough.
That one's gonna be weird because I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with that. I mean, I would like a sequel, god damn it. I just don't know if I'm gonna get one. So I had to kind of be like, it'd be nice if you made another fucking game. That's where I'm at with it. And I'm like, I shouldn't be that way with it, but I'm like, I mean, if you make another game, I probably buy it. It's like that's what I'm like.
Revamp it, don't focus on, because a lot of people almost nobody used the emotion stuff.
No,
So,
they didn't. But
so refocus the game, make it a straight up fighter game. You got all these cool fucking characters. Like you
know
can
what made
really,
it? You know what makes me mad though is the people who did mess with the game longer found out that they like added later in the updates a button mapping. Like you can map every button in that game. That's one of the few games that has like a full
full
mapping
button
system.
mapping.
And I'm just like, fuck, why wasn't this here day one? Because
Right.
day one, motherfuckers would have been like, oh, bet we
Well,
got fine.
It was there early enough that I was playing.
Yeah, because I fucking love that game. I really hope they don't just say fuck it. But you know what other scares me? If I remember right, isn't that the Mario Kart team that made that game? If I remember correct?
Yeah, Mario Kart team, yeah.
That's my concern. That unfortunately they have better things to do.
Really? Because they ain't been doing shit for about 8 years.
Hey, listen. Witchy.
It's a DLC to a fucking 8-year-old game, but that's about it. Like, come on.
Listen. We sometimes we all make mistakes. Okay,
So
that's all I'm gonna say on that.
just to switch it up, I guess Diablo 4's first like patch update or whatever was not well received, and
yeah, it pissed a lot of players off.
I just saw a tweet where somebody said like for PC players or console gamers, right next to where you check your season, it's got all kinds of season pass, battle pass type stuff. Right next to where you check is, I guess, the option to sign up for premium. Now, it doesn't force you; it just takes you to the screen where you have to say, "Yeah, I want premium," but it's still like right next to the most frequently selected option to check your
live service games, y'all. Live service.
Like, oh my god.
Diablo 4 is a great game from what I've seen.
I've heard good things.
But it got some bullshit. Clearly, it's got some.
Hey, listen, we can't be all pretty. We gotta be a little bit scummy.
Yeah,
for the culture.
I mean, if the mobile game didn't cue you up to what was gonna happen, then you ain't paying attention, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, unfortunately, I hate to say that you should have expected it, but like low key, it's like. Yeah. You kind of should have expected it.
You kind of should have expected it, yeah.
I hate that that's the tagline. Like,
and they nerfed this shit just to make you grind more, and which is gonna frustrate the shit out of you, and you're gonna pay for shit. That's the whole point. Is like, come on.
Did you see? Did you see the characters they're adding to Mortal Kombat 1? You got Homelander.
Yeah, it's like Homelander.
Peacemaker.
I thought that was Call of Duty or some shit.
No, I think it was
Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Because I just saw it a minute.
Yeah. Call of Duty too?
I don't think so.
I don't know about that one.
That's weird.
But I know
I saw them shooting and shit with guns. I could have sworn it was like.
I mean,
Call
listen,
of Duty.
nowadays you can see.
Then they added like J.K. Simmons character from some Marvel thing.
That was a weird choice, but okay.
So
I guess we're just different now.
If you guys could see my cat just glaring me right now.
Yeah, the boys invade Call of Duty. The boys invade Call of Duty this week.
Are you ignoring her? That's probably what it is.
Season 4 reloaded of Call of Duty.
She's like a wife. She's like, if you don't get the fuck off the goddamn computer.
She's not blinking.
I know I ain't crazy. I was right.
Why are you still on the goddamn computer? And I'm right here, you bitch. Like,
it's kind of weird to have like superheroes with guns.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I think I think Battle Bits is gonna get shit like that, where it's gonna be a bunch of crossover stuff. Yeah, Homelander's in Call of Duty.
Why?
I thought that is weird.
They've gotta leave this shit alone.
That's the shit I've been seeing.
I seen that dude at like a Comic-Con panel, and somebody asked him a question. I don't know if he was just putting on an act. The dude was like
being an asshole.
He just like glared at this dude like Homelander would, and it was.
Oh no, I think he's literally an asshole.
You think so?
He's gotten in trouble recently for something.
When you play a villain for so long, you become a villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not that good at being a villain unless you're a little deep down.
Because I was like, I would love to know that that's like the friendliest, nicest guy, because that would just make it even more impressive.
Nah,
And that's usually the case. It's
Mhm.
funny because that's usually the case. The best villains are like some of the nicest people you meet in the real world. But
they just know how to be evil.
once in a while, those villains are a real deal. Those, who those people are. So
I hate when,
and that's what I hear about him. I hear that he's kind of a
that's
kind of
such
a
a
dick.
turn off.
Yeah.
And as much as we talk about The Witcher a little bit, all you hear is like people love Henry Cavill, but you do hear a few little like he's difficult. He was difficult on Justice League, but maybe it's because he saw what was happening.
Because they were making shit. That's what.
And,
right.
But otherwise,
and
you
he
just hear
spoke
how
out.
generous he is, and just like he's so supportive. It almost feels artificial.
But I heard they were trying to bring him back for Mission Impossible. He's so terrible to work with, but people
Yeah.
keep working with him. It's just like, what?
Even though he's
I don't
clearly
understand.
dead, unless they're gonna
Oh
do
yeah, but they'll find a
flashback.
way. Yeah, they'll find a way.
Do like an Avatar. Well, will have a video. Yeah, if you're watching this, I died and you're my clone.
That was one of the biggest mistakes, was to kill him off. He was so good in that fucking movie. He was
I hated that whole. As far as I'm a huge fan of that series, I hated the Fast and the Furious ending with the helicopter hanging from that hook, and it's just like it felt so fake to me, and it took me out of it. Even though
really, I was on the edge of my seat.
the movie Mission Impossible always has one like really ridiculously fake thing, but having a hook like break
the train
free,
sequence in the
and
first
then,
one.
like it should have like as soon as I know this is getting too critical about a movie, but as soon as that hook broke free, it would go flying up. It wouldn't just stay along the ground and catch something else. That stuff, those are the little things sometimes that can take me out of a movie. And that's the thing. That moment, and it just that whole it was the only like fake part of the movie because you could tell it's some green screen because it was like reshot. If you watch the original trailer, he crashes into a semi on the ground with the copter. So they reshot that and it just felt out of place to me. But
so the scene where they were using magic mirrors to mimic a hallway, is that the same movie or I'm thinking of a different one? Maybe that's a different
John
one.
Wick had they didn't use.
It was Mission Impossible, but it might have been the one before.
Oh, because I like no, that was 4. That was
that's the one with the Kremlin and shit.
But that was cool tech though. It was unrealistic tech, but it was cool. But the 5th one, Rogue Nation, to me is by far the best.
But it's like that argument about people like, oh man, how the hell did they get King Kong on that boat, bitch? King Kong, we're talking.
Yeah.
You have a problem with him
I'm
being on
telling
the
you
boat,
though, some of those
and
little
not have a problem with them catching a giant ape.
some of those little details can make.
Hey man,
all
some
the
of that might be plausible, man.
in my opinion, the little
They
details.
get him on that boat. How they get him on anything? He's a giant ape.
Nah, man. Listen, I want the specifics.
Well, the better question for me is how.
What about the
on
weight
the
distribution?
boat? How did they get him on the net in the middle of the ocean and then hook?
Well, none of it makes any sense.
20 helicopters.
That's my
together.
point. None of it makes any sense. How are you picking out that one thing? It's like,
But
you're talking
again, for someone like me, it's those little things that really make or break it. That's if you're clever enough to think of like details instead of like, well, what do we do with this character? Well, I know we'll just have like an explosion kill off like 5 characters or whatever, so we don't have to write any endings. Or a Game of Thrones, let's have 100 characters die within like a few episodes, so we don't have to think of anything for these character arcs. They're just dead now and they're gone. Like some of that stuff is just like it's hard. I mean, it's not just lazy. It might be time. It might be they don't have any choice, but it is hard to come up with like clever like.
No, it's not an easy thing to do.
Sometimes you just gotta say F it. We're just gonna have
Fuck
to.
it.
This can't make sense. We just have to. There's no real clever or elegant way to get from this to this. We just gotta say screw it. Suspend disbelief. Like just. I mean, even in every Mission Impossible movie, somehow we know this person who we don't know who it is. We don't know anything about them, but we know they're gonna be here within the next 72 hours. They're gonna be at this event. It's like, how the hell did you know that?
If there was some 60-year-old super agent running around, it'd be fucking meat chunks doing that shit that Tom Cruise is doing.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't last 1 minute,
But
like all that diving and jumping and falling off of things, like you'd be done. One motorcycle fall, that agent is done.
But anyway, do we have any gaming?
It's called verisimilitude. You never heard that term before?
No.
verisimilitude.
That's new to me.
It's probably a film school thing, but it's just
I didn't go teach shit. Like,
it's not a film school thing. It's a film industry thing.
that don't help me. I don't make movies.
It just basically means you gotta. How do I word it? How do I word verisimilitude?
I feel like
It's just.
T one of them type of
Is
dudes.
it like
T one of them
people
type
will
of
fill in the logic if you?
No. Look. T one of them type of dudes that you cool with, but he'll make you feel stupid unintentionally all the fucking time.
It basically means you got to, when you craft this whatever world it is, you got to make things work and believable in that world. That's what it is. Okay. It's like making it believable within that world. Obviously, it doesn't work in the real world.
Yeah,
but
like
the world that they created.
Giving
in
somebody
the movie.
people enough so that they can fill in the gaps and accept what they're seeing, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
thanks, Sensei.
There you go. You guys, there's something new for you. You learned something new.
I already forgot the word. I have bad short-term memory sometimes.
I didn't go to film
and
school,
I'm bad
so
with names.
fucking remember.
It's verisimilitude. It's a weird word.
Verisimilitude.
I'm gonna use that line. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that line they use in 40-year-old versions. Like, listen, you're throwing a bunch of big words at me, and I don't know what they mean. So I'm gonna take it as a form of disrespect.
I learned it from one of my snootier instructors. He was very proud of it. He had won an Emmy. He was very proud of it. He tried to make it seem like he wasn't. Oh, he's like, well, my Emmy and $3 will get me a cup of coffee. And I'm like, shut up. You knew, you love the fact that you got that Emmy. That's why you keep bringing it up. But he was all right. He was a cool guy.
So when I'm talking to like kind of cool, attractive women, somehow even though I know in my heart of hearts, my deepest in my soul, I know it matters none. I still sometimes find a way to bring up like my home theater, or I'm like,
oh my god,
like for no reason. I can
I
find
was totally thinking about you and your home theater and how nobody gave a shit when I was down in my theater and I was like, oh, I can get people to come over. I'm like, no. I remember Terminator Juice saying nobody gives a shit. Nobody's gonna care nearly as much as you do about your home theater.
You could. I don't know if you saw that short I sent you. That dude in Florida has like a 15-seat huge room, three stadium style seating, 200-inch screen. I mean, just immaculate. He did a lot.
He had his whole family and shit in there.
He did a lot himself, but I'm just wondering. In the video, he's got like a wife and a couple kids.
Kids, yeah. And
I'm
like,
wondering how
he had some cool shit on the outside of it, like going up to it.
There's a couple. I've showed a couple. This one was just straight up a massive room, and I'm thinking maybe if you had that, but even still, it's hard to get people out of their homes, out of their pajamas, watching on their TVs in the comfort of their living room. It's like not to like. Even when you get to the level I'm at, which is, I mean, I'm proud of it. I think it looks great, but in the grand scheme of things, it's more in the lower tier of like the home theater community. But my sister for 2 years straight, we got to come over and watch a movie. I'm going to watch Top Gun over there. Wait to watch it. Or get the kids over, watch a movie. 2 years went by. She says it every year and nothing. And I'm like that was the first lesson and the first hard lesson I learned with home theater. Like
I got people who live in my house who don't want to go down there.
I was in my parents' house. My sister was living there. My parents. I got my dad to watch Fight Club, which is so out of his wheelhouse. I made a bad choice there. I should have watched something he could have related to.
Yeah, it should have been Fight Club.
Way out of his wheelhouse. And he's the only one. I gotta give him credit. He watched a movie with me. My brother and his husband years ago watched Silver Linings Playbook with me in my old room with I had like the 77-inch screen. It was way less impressive, but they watched a movie with me. And then a couple of my friends have, and a girl I dated in 2010 watched a bunch of stuff with me. Other than that, no one else in my family has watched a movie in my room. Some haven't even seen it in action. And I'm like you inspired me. Like I went out because I was like, oh, I want under my screen, I want like a small, I don't know, cabinet table thing, and I could never find anything that was that short
and just because I wanted something to put the sound bar in to make it look really cool. And I was just like, fuck it. I went out and bought a piece of wood. I went to cutting. I was feeling like Terminator juice. I was to do it DIY, man. Do it yourself. I was cutting it up, measured it all nice. I don't even have you have a great setup and shit. Like I look at my garage, I'm like, fuck, I I gotta do some work in here to get it nice. Now I cut it up, I fucking painted it. It looks fucking impeccable down there. It was like the perfect everything. At some point I'm gonna do a video and show everybody, the work I've been doing, but I felt really inspired, and nobody could care. Like, no, I was trying to show it off to the family. No,
what's the word? There's got to be a word for that. Some people who just don't care about your hobby, and it's like
it sounds really sad. I want y'all to know. It
is
like this. So this like it's like this weird. Like, I don't know why the podcast turned into this weird like. Look at these accomplishments we made that no one gives a fuck about.
I had to bribe my mom last year on my birthday because once a year I say, well, it's my birthday. You guys are coming to my house, and my mom makes sloppy joes and someone makes a cake. That's the only time anyone in my family. My dad stops over like once a year, and I show him stuff. But so they sit down, I play a couple demos, and that's it. My brother, I went from like a bare wall room. I built these columns out of wood, and I had these acoustic treatment, big old widescreen. It looks the same. I'm like, look, it went back and forth. It looks the same to me. I don't know what'd you do? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's the most insulting thing you could have said. I told my mom, I said, she's 72 then last year. I don't have railings. She's not like frail, but it's not the easiest for her to walk downstairs without railings. I said, Mom, this is the greatest accomplishment of anything I've ever done in my life. And it's like, you won't even walk down 10 steps to look at it. And she's like, oh, I'll look. She gets down there. She's like, oh my God, honey, this is beautiful. Go get my phone upstairs. I want to take photos. And she takes a bunch of photos. She was just blown away by it. But I had to guilt trip her to get her down there. You think she's going to watch a movie? No. But she at least went down there, and I was just like,
she went down there and gave you compliments on it, legitimate, like organic, real.
She wouldn't have. She couldn't have been bothered. Right. So yeah, that is a lesson you're gonna learn. Don't buy more than a few. Don't go out and buy 2 rows of seating. A lot of guys do that, and they're like,
I was so close to doing that. I was like, well, no, I'm glad I didn't.
I honestly, all I truly
needed. You're on bean bags and shit. They brought the bean bag.
All I needed to buy was one super amazing comfortable chair for $1,000 and put it in the center of the room. But I didn't like how that would look.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah,
that's another thing. It's a hobby thing. So it's like, I want to make it look more like a theater.
And of course,
I'm going to do more
a few times when there are people sitting there.
It sounds really sad, y'all.
I don't
like any of this.
It's the sadness of our middle-aged lives.
It's like this. It's like, listen, don't invest in this cool thing you like. Because no one will give a fuck.
Well, don't invest it for other people. It has to be for you. Otherwise, it ain't. Otherwise, don't do it. There's a lot of guys that do it to impress other people, and you can tell who those people are, because they don't care about movies or anything, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna watch one by myself. Like, well, good luck. If you're lucky.
I have no problem watching movies by myself. I zone out and I'm in. So even if nobody wants to come down there, I will enjoy the shit out of my theater.
Sometimes he watches the podcast, but I have a friend. His total basement is fucking immaculate. His wife is so disinterested. He has trouble just to hold something up so he could test something. And I'm gonna show you his room.
I know how that feels.
And it's like,
I'm trying to impress my wife with the basement, and like, oh, we got a full bar down there. We got fucking foosball. We got a fucking, we got the pool table / ping pong. And she's probably been down there. We've been here almost 2 years. She's probably been down there 4 times.
Yeah, it's kind of a mistake, the pool table.
Jesus.
That doesn't last.
Well, I wanted a pool table for myself. That's a thing that I always wanted when I was like a little kid.
I like having them.
I go down there and I play pool with myself. I don't give a fuck.
Right, let me see if I can find. Yeah, this guy has his basement is killer. And hopefully he won't mind.
I mean,
Oh,
that's if he knows.
Is it personal pictures? Or is it just...
No, this
Yeah,
is a
but
YouTube video.
Oh,
Oh.
no, yeah, I don't think
Oh,
he
okay.
cares.
Well, that's public. That's
Yeah. His wife helped him pick the blue color. It's clean. It's not like dark and dingy. He didn't do the black front walls or I don't know if his ceiling's even black. Bright, light colors, and she can't even be bothered not even to go in the room, but just to go in the basement in general. Look at this. This is a nice looking basement.
That is nice.
Like that's envious right there. That's like
That is nice.
I mean, it's a lot of work went into it, and it's just like I don't understand. And there are a lot of wives that don't like the man caves. Like, look at this basement. This is an impeccable basement. And
It's not a man cave.
This is not a man. This looks almost very. You can tell his wife helped him with the decorating and stuff. Like, why wouldn't you want to be down there? There's something about the basement that is unappealing to wives. I don't know what it is.
Something about that basement or the attic. There's two things.
The upstairs and the basement. It's like you're not down in a dungeon. It's a nice living space. Like
I can barely get her to go to the second floor where our room is.
It's just weird. I don't know what it is. And so two prominent, that same guy that made that video, he lives in Australia. He had a full back row and then a full front row, and he compromised. And a year later, he sold the back row. He put his front row into where the back seats were on the riser.
Oh, that's
and he's
so sad.
He's like, I thought my family would be watching. He's like, it's just almost always me in here. So he's like, I'm just going to reduce it down to
so sad.
3 seats. And that's how we connected. I said, dude, that's the first lesson I learned. And we chat, all the time, not all the time.
My son he'll watch. My son will watch, and he had his friend came over, and I felt, oh yeah, yeah, prime opportunity. And they watched John Wick 4 and had a blast. So
I think once you at
least have him.
I think once you add the surround and you get the sounds moving around you, that does entice. That's more enticing. I think that your son might be more.
Yeah, we're working up. I mean, he'll watch YouTube on that shit. He don't care. He has no problem coming down.
Home theater podcast.
Yeah,
I'm just glad you're using the projector. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's great.
I'm here.
My daughter did really enjoy the 3D. She watched
Did she
Avatar.
make it through Avatar?
She hadn't finished it, no, but it was only because we wanted to watch Mario, which everybody fell asleep on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I gotta say for me personally, that I was telling Terrell before the stream, I've always enjoyed having a room, but there were still times where I was like, I'll just watch this upstairs. Now that I've gotten, ever since I got the bigger screen and just really improved the sound and the image quality, I'm like, I'm excited just to watch the next movie I'm going to watch, whether it's like Stargate. I want to watch that tomorrow. I'm excited to watch Stargate again. It's been a couple years.
Give me ideas.
I'm just like excited to watch movies, like to the point where I don't know if I've ever been this excited out of all of my setups. I've always enjoyed. I've had surround sound for watching movies since like '98. And I've rarely watched a movie without surround sound since '98. And I just it's so exciting to me. Like I can't wait. I got about 60 movies pulled out that are on my watch list that I'm gonna go through and watch. And I'm like, it's just so exciting to me. And it's like reinvigorated. I've always loved movies, but I'm not watching anything upstairs. There's nothing I'm gonna watch upstairs. I'll watch some older show.
I took everything down there. I was like, am I really gonna watch them on my TV anymore? No, I took everything down there and put it in the shelving. It's like I'm not watching anything up here anymore.
I mean, I think performance for the price. Even when I bought that projector for $2,000, it was like one of the highest rated performance to price projectors.
I have zero complaints.
I think it still looked good. When I got rid of it, I still thought it looked good. So you're not really you started at a good spot. I mean, there's some really low lower end, no contrast, no color, what they call color color brightness, not just brightness, because you got to have color brightness to actually see the colors. Good contrast for the price point. It was amazing. Yeah. But so anyway, I'm still improving. I was last 3 days I was making wood vertical columns for the back of the room, and I'm tired. I'm sore, but
Right.
it's just when I look at them, I'm like, I made these. These look amazing.
Exactly. That's the cool thing is like I did that.
On the
I
flip
did that.
side, I seen a guy on Facebook, and he must be, I don't know age. He didn't sound young. He sounded, to me, sounded like his 30s, 40s. And he had a basement, cinder block walls, no paint, cement floor, speakers on like bar stools, like living room bar, not like cool ones, like just white and fake wood, and then just cement, and then probably like a 70-inch TV, some tower speakers. And he turns the camera to the left, and it's like the Blair Witch Project basement. They took everything that was probably in that spot and just pushed it into the corner. So under the stairs into this corner was this dark mess. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And then they had like a 4-foot high, looked like some curtains they wrapped around some wood frame, trying to like hide the rest of the room.
I'm dead.
It was the most hideous thing I've ever seen. But he's like, I love it, in the video. And I'm like, dude, at least buy 2 gallons of paint and paint your cinder blocks. Like, at least have some white cinder blocks, something, or gray, like, or dark.
No.
And it's just like, you got to start somewhere, but at the same time,
that shit stinks, bro. It stinks.
You should start with cleaning.
It can't smell good in there. It can't.
No, start with cleaning your basement. And like painting at least doing some basic stuff. Like that's what you should start with. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
What the fuck?
Terrell, someday maybe
Wait, so what?
Maybe someday you'll step up your game. Do you have a basement or not?
No. I have a den that I have to figure out how I'm gonna handle, and I'm still racking my brain on it.
I was gonna say, Georgia, you're in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Florida and Georgia.
That room I just showed you is in Georgia. So,
oh,
he has a basement.
Oh shit!
He's got
I would think they're rare.
He says he's like 45 minutes or an hour from the Atlanta airport. I don't know which direction.
Because those states are just like this.
It's very flat land. So like,
I'd say 95% of homes in my area have basements. There's a few that have like crawl spaces.
I think pretty much.
I have a crawl space.
But anyway, I think we're probably boring people with the home theater talk.
I think I was listen.
We're not going to talk about the pony developers.
No.
The developers that are making that game on PS5, and they were saying that the Xbox's hard drive is too slow.
Oh, we're not doing this. Yeah, no, absolutely not. No.
These are developers, man.
I don't give a fuck. That sounds stupid.
It is stupid.
It sounds very stupid. And this is coming from a guy who like owns an Xbox and almost low key doesn't give a fuck.
Well, they're clearly doing it for attention.
Like, well, obviously, it means the game's ass. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. I'm like, nobody's gonna care about this game unless you do this dog and pony show. No pun intended.
I wish the pun was intended. God damn it.
Okay, well, pun intended then.
It was so good. I'm gonna stop.
But yeah, I didn't hear about that one.
We fell for that shit. Well, kinda during the Wii U.
Listen, I don't want you to bring up at those times. Okay.
Where companies would make up, oh man, the Wii was gonna do this and this and that.
Oh yeah.
And they just did it for attention, And it's just like.
Listen, it was a rough time back then, okay?
It was rough. I watched a video recently, and the guy was reminding me how rough it was.
It was pretty rough. People forget.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Any little nugget, we would like, oh my god, that's alien or whatever. Whatever, the alien colonial marines. Oh my god, he said it's so amazing with the gamepad, or watch out, Watch Dogs 2.
Randy Pitchford, full of shit. It's so full of shit. He looked like a sleazy oil salesman.
That piece of shit individual. Fuck that guy.
But anyway, I think we'll get out of here. And we'll probably, I don't know, do every other week maybe. podcast. We'll have
Oh
to see.
no, it's beginning of the end.
We'll have to
yo.
see. We'll have to see.
Damn.
Robert wanted to go to
Damn.
bed early so he could go to New York in the morning. I don't know how early he's getting
Guess I'm
up,
about to start my podcast back up. Oh
but
no.
but we appreciate you guys for
Oh,
tuning in, and
that cross promotion, baby.